Hey guys, I know that going through long COVID can feel like a never-ending nightmare, but many people find a way out, and today's guest, Katrin, is one of them. Her story will give you much more than a glimmer of hope. She's going to share tools and strategies that might help you as well. Hello everyone, if you're new here, I'm Raelan. On my channel we talk about recovery from conditions like long COVID and ME/CFS. It's a place where we share what works for people, what doesn't, and the hope that things can and will get better. Today, I'm so excited to have Katrin with us all the way over in Belgium. She developed long COVID in March 2020 and eventually took a leap of faith with a program that she heard about right here on my channel. She'll talk about her life before, the worst of her symptoms, and share the incredible shifts she's experienced and the tools and the steps that helped her to get there. Katrin, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm very, very happy to be here after having watched many of your videos while I was still unwell whenever I needed a glimpse of hope. So I'm very grateful that I can now be on the other side. And although sometimes I didn't believe I'd get there.
Yeah, it's incredible. It can really feel like I may never get past this. And just what an amazing thing to now be, you're the one here giving hope to other people. So yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And before we dive into your experience with long COVID, I always find it interesting. People tell me they find it interesting to hear what life was like before that, leading up to this.
Yeah, I talked with a friend of mine also about this, like, how was I before? And I think, yeah, she nailed it down with saying you were a complete workaholic. I think she was right with it. Whenever there was an opportunity, like for work or studies, whenever I would jump on it. I would try to do as much as I can. I was very curious and wanted to get as much as possible out of life. I also, pausing wasn't really my thing. I also like to have everything well organized and kind of being on top of it. Yeah, feeling of having control of what's going on and doing everything the best as I can. So also still am very diligent also with whatever I was doing. So doing a lot of sports. So always out and about.
Yeah, familiar story. I hear this a lot from people. So, and then you got COVID?
Exactly. So I got COVID in March 2022. Yeah. I thought, I'm super healthy. So I'll just, smoothly go through it. But that wasn't really the case. And I was realizing I don't really get back to where I was before. But I was trying to push through nevertheless. And I was in this cycle of up and down and couldn't really accept that something in my body wasn't going right. I was just trying to push and push and push. Until I really hit button, like 4 months later, it was like nothing. I couldn't do anything anymore. It's like when I was getting at my worst.
So what did that look like when you're at your worst? What did your days look like?
I think that the moment where I really kind of felt this is the worst I've ever been was when I just had the feeling that nothing in my body was working anymore, and I almost got to a point where I was considering to call the ambulance because I just couldn't figure out what's going on in my body. And the next day, eventually, I somehow managed to get to the hospital. And even while I was waiting, I couldn't even sit upright the whole time. I was lying on the floor or just to see then a doctor who was saying to me, but you're completely healthy. All your functions are normal. And just asking me, so what's the real question? What's the real reason why you don't want to go back to work? And while you were hearing this, when you're at the very worst you've ever been from, I think it was just kind of the peak of hearing of the medical system not being equipped to help, or not yet. Hopefully it might change over time, but not really being equipped to support you in this tricky moment of time. And then from this day onwards, it just felt like a very long coma. Although I don't know how a real coma feels like, but it was like a coma where you're awake and there's just, you were resting so much of your day for being able to do so little, reading 1 or 2 pages, taking a few steps, trying to get a bit outside. I couldn't just take care of myself even. I was dependent on the help of others for groceries, for cooking, and it was really so someone who would never like to ask other people for favors, and or whether on the side of liking to give favors myself, it was also a hard experience to be dependent all of a sudden to other people.
So you went from being this really active person, just so many different things going on, going full speed through life, to getting COVID to getting so incredibly sick. You go into the hospital who's supposed to help you and they completely dismiss you. I used to, oh, that enrages me. But so what did you do, or what were you thinking about recovery when the doctors aren't even believing you? Where was your mind at? What were you thinking?
So I think a lot of my brain is already like put it aside in the dark corner. What happened there? Like now from the other side, I can't really remember in detail what I was thinking back then. I think my mind is trying to protect me from that. We call it this incredible fear, like of being lost, being not. I think that was also probably the thing that kept me stuck quite a while, because I like to have to know what's happening, to be kind of in control of things, and then I was completely out of control. I didn't know anything. That was I didn't understand. I had no certainty anymore, and trying to deal with this and finding solutions. Well, you didn't even have energy to maintain yourself, and then having the charge as well to go out and find other solutions was that was a very tough situation. Then also managing the thing, managing people who don't who are like a bit skeptical, or like just be positive, just think positively, or all these kind of comments that you get. It's like, okay, even like it's out of my control. Even if I think positively, it's just like there are so many limits that my body's giving me at the moment. It was the toughest challenge probably. For sure the toughest challenge I've ever faced, and I can't picture much greater challenges at the moment.
I imagine you went the route that most of us do and started Googling and trying to figure this out. Like, did you start trying different things?
Well, the first thing I tried out was a Facebook group in Belgium called like Long COVID We Exist. And I went in there and it was very, very, which I understand, but it's very, very depressive messages. Like people saying, like it's the mass disabilitating event, long COVID, and I've been sick for 3 years, and I just lost my job, I just lost my financial support. What can I do? So I got all these messages, and obviously that didn't help at all to make me feel better. So it was but then fortunately something in myself kept seeking for other news. I found the first thing, kind of a net that was protecting me from falling even further down, was the yoga group online, or like an online community from Susie Bold, which is like a place where with other people who feel similar and try to be proactive and then step by step gain your health back. So that was like the first moment to take a breath and to not feel so isolated anymore. And what then really helped me to climb back the ladder up to health was brain retraining. I did the course with Jason, the I Can Thrive program, which is just, especially I think for a person like me who likes to have structure, and was super helpful to have whenever you've had a symptom, not to feel like, okay, what should I do now? I knew, okay, I can do the brain retraining now, and with this I'll step by step build up my health again and reprogram my mind so that I can do all the things that I love again in my life.
I've interviewed a few people who have taken the I Can Thrive program with Jason McTiernan who have recovered. So it seems that people are having really great success with this program, which is great. I can link up on the screen here an interview from someone else who also came on the channel talking about it. But for people who aren't familiar with it, what does going through this program look like?
So it was first of all some online courses to get you familiar with what happens with brain retraining. How does it contribute to you becoming better, and what are the mechanics behind it? Which I always like to understand the things like. So it was very helpful for me to just get a better idea of what's not going right in my brain, and how can I actively support this. Just like to get a first basis. And then I had regular individual coaching sessions, and I think that the individual character for the coaching sessions was very helpful to look into what are the patterns that have kept me stuck, and there are quite a few, and to really identify them and have like tailor-made solutions on how can a brain retraining process look like to tackle these thought patterns that are not conducive anymore to my well-being. How can I replace them with better ones? So it was also a process. To be honest, I also had these moments where I was like wondering, am I doing this correctly? Is it gonna work for me? Yeah, I had also moments of doubts, and because I was like, yeah, felt like it was like it's my last bullet that I have, like my last chance to recover. I was a bit desperate, but all despite having these thought it's step by step it worked out, and just felt how I could do more and more things, and step by step gain my old life back. So yeah.
I think that's such an important thing that you brought up, that you can have doubts and that these programs still can work. Because I don't think there's probably almost nobody that goes through it that doesn't have moments of doubts. And then you think, oh, I don't believe it. I mean, I think that your core, you have to have an overriding belief in recovery. Like if you're determined that you'll never recover and you've decided it's not possible, then that's 100% your mindset. Then I think that's going to cause some challenges, but it's normal to have doubts, and it's okay, and you're still making progress even if you're struggling, even if some days you don't fully believe it. You still do get there. I'm wondering what you thought when you first heard about brain retraining and this being the potential solution for all of this suffering that you've been through.
Yeah, I mean, I had some, a bit of a cautious reaction on this in the first instance as well. I was like, is it really just gonna be that simple? But yeah, I've already previously got more and more into the mind-body connection. So I was also trying. Yeah, it made sense to me, and also to the vision that I had of what long COVID is, and how it has been deregulating my nervous system, and how I heard about neuroplasticity beforehand. So I was like actually probably looking for something like brain retraining, just because I had these theoretical concepts up in the air of you can do this, but then I let kind of the concrete tools on how to implement it in daily life, and that's where the program has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah, well, that's good you at least had an awareness of this going in, because I think that can help. Because I think
I think that helped me a lot, and also
like,
when I talk my parents or like I don't know, like family friends about it, they were like a bit more well, you have nothing to lose, so go for it. And I think even a bit of skepticism of like, do you really want to spend your little energy on this? Like, are you sure? But I'm very happy I trusted my instinct and went for the program nevertheless, although obviously it was
yeah, it's a really tough thing to explain, and I forget because I have so many conversations like this. So it's become so normalized for me and in our community. It's pretty well understood, I think, by now, at least by a lot of people. But every once in a while, just someone from my random outside world at work or something will just be like, oh, what's your YouTube channel about? And how do people recover? And if I have to try and explain this to someone that's never heard of it, I can almost see their thoughts in a bubble. That sounds like...
It's so quickly put in the box of
like, okay,
people,
crazy.
Like,
that's just like woo-woo. That's just
exactly
like casting spells, and there's so much science to back it up, but it's just not reaching mainstream community.
And I think that has also been something that helped this core belief a lot of the recovery being possible. It was limited what I could read at the moment when I was doing the program, but I was listening to audiobooks, some, for example, from Joe Dispenza or some other, where there are like a lot of good books that you can read to just to hear from other stories and get some more hope and motivation and belief in recovery.
Yeah, the education piece is an important part of the brain retraining with recovery, because it's understanding it and having that buy-in. So yeah, it's.
I think then it's also okay to just take time. I think I also went into brain retraining with like, okay, in 2 months I want to be the old me again. And but in hindsight, it's I think it's okay, and it's good to take the time and to take going at your own pace and absorbing things step by step. And also, I was so desperate to recover and to get my own life back. But if I look in hindsight, like I think 2023 was kind of my year of recovery, and it's been one of the best years that I've ever had, with like all these little joys. It was the year where it started to go up again, and it was a very nice year to discover all these joys of the lost joys again, and discovering yourself again in a different light now that you had so much more awareness of how your body works, how your nervous system works, how you can make your body support you. Yeah, so that it's easier said than done on the other side. But if I could give an advice to my old sick me, I was like, take it. It's okay. Take your time. there's no price to gain for the right recovery a few months earlier or later. Yeah. But yeah, it's easier said than done when you're already doing better.
Yeah, and it can be frustrating when you see people around you that seem to be getting there faster, and you're like, why? What am I doing wrong? And it's just, there's so many different factors that, and those rapid success stories, I always say, are the exception, not the norm. So just, take your time with it and you'll get there.
And I think it's also very important to look a bit more holistically at least in my case, it was important to also look at other life factors and to take time to clean up a bit what doesn't work. I was, for example, in a relationship with a great person, but it's just like the two of us just didn't match anymore. Couldn't support each other the way that a couple should. But it was hard to admit that and to go through this process. And I was always wondering, do I have to break up to recover? And in the end, the question was, yes, I had to get this in order as well and get over this emotional stress to also to have the energy that I needed to focus on myself and my recovery. So I think also, it's not, in my case, it wasn't, it was also important to make sure that your life is put in order again.
Yeah, I remember looking in the mirror about a week before I got sick and thinking, having the thought, looking at myself, thinking, I don't think I like myself. Like I was just in not a good place. I didn't like how I was showing up in the world. And at the time I did not see the connection to my physical symptoms at all. But I also had to make a lot of changes. Different job, different career, different marriage. And not everybody has to do that. Most people recover without making massive changes in their life. But
I think you feel if it's necessary.
It's
and if not, then it's okay. But I felt that it was that something had to change. Although I tried to ignore it. And obviously, when you're unwell, it's not the first thing that you think of. Like, oh, I'm putting yet another challenge on top. It's something. So it's a bit counterintuitive, and it also took me a while. But I think it was also an important piece too.
I think too, when you're really, really busy in life, it's easy to push these things down and pretend that they aren't an issue. But then when everything stops, you get these conditions, and then you're kind of forced to eventually start to evaluate things. It's a silver lining that you get a chance to really kind of look inward and see what's working and what's not.
And that's also something that I'm seeing now that I'm back in a normal life, that there's so many things that I thought about a year ago. It's just like they don't have, at the moment, I don't have headspace to deal with them. And so I also thought, again, in hindsight, it's easy to think that, but it's a nice moment to have time to reflect on kind of deeper issues that, in normal life don't really have a place, or that we would actively need to make a place for.
Yeah.
Shouldn't ignore it anyhow.
But definitely.
Two patterns that have kept you stuck. It's a good. I think it's a good moment, and it's that you normally don't have, and it's good if one can make use of it with the limited energy that one has in these circumstances.
So it sounds like this experience has changed you. Has it changed how you live your life, how you treat yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it has. I think there's definitely a before and an after of such a huge challenge. I think I can somehow boil it down to having learned to hug myself, which sounds probably with the brain retraining, people are like, oh, what is this? Hugging yourself, go a bit in the same direction. And that's also something that I learned in the program. It's just doing this whenever you feel like you're overwhelming, you're feeling a challenge, and then okay, no, we're doing okay and we get through this. I think it just stands symbolically for so much that I learned on the way of how to take better care of myself, how to set boundaries, how to be more connected with my body, and trying to find a balance. Although it's also a learning process. So I think that's kind of one of the big changes that has trickled down. And I'm also very grateful that now I have kind of a toolkit in a way. Whenever I feel like I'm being a bit stressed or something isn't as it should be, I know I have the brain retraining tools, breathing tools, so many things that I know I can just tweak a bit so that I can intervene earlier before I get before my body has to scream at me. I can now understand a bit its whispers and know how to react to that. And Yeah, all of the things that I'm preaching now, I'm still in the process of kind of implementing them now that I'm back to normal life. But one thing I've also learned is that patience pays off, and I'm not the most patient person. I'm trying to slowly get there. It's okay to not achieve everything like this, and you can take it step by step, and then you'll get there as well. And I guess one of the biggest learnings as well is to keep that of all of this is just to keep believing in yourself and not giving up. Because I feel like if you're able to recover from this, you can kind of not do anything, but you can do a lot. And then other challenges, and if you put them in perspective, they aren't that huge anymore.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. Well, Katrin, so appreciate. I know it's not easy putting yourself out there and telling your story, but I know people will really have appreciated hearing from you today. So thank you so much for sharing your story here.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it's I'm very sure wherever you're listening, that you have all that you need to be also one day here in the place where I am, and to tell your story. And I hope that they wish you all the strength and probably calmness and support that you need on the way to get to this little video box where I am right now.
Absolutely. And in the video description of every single one of my videos is a link for when you're ready to tell your story. You just click on it, reach out to me, and I'm excited to have you watching on the channel sharing your story as well. And I'll link up on the screen here too a recent interview that I did with Jason McTiernan, who runs the program I Can Thrive that Katrin used to recover, if you want to learn more about him and what his approach is like. And I'll link the details for his program in the video description as well, in case you're curious to check it out. So yeah, thanks again, Katrin. Thanks to all of you watching. Looking forward to your comments, your questions, and I'm sending you big hugs. Whatever you're facing, keep going. You've totally got this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got tons out of it, and I hope to see you in this next one with Jason.